Good morning, St. Lucians.
Good morning.
I think that could go with Star Wars or something. St. Lucians. It's so good to be with you this new day. I hope you are each well and holy. Whenever I preach here, Tim, our videographer, asks me for a title for my sermon, which he will then attach to the YouTube, which goes out. So I played with some titles for this morning. The first was God and Google, or Why is the Earth so beautiful and yet such a mess? And third, the winner was Keep It Simple. Keep it simple. The readings this morning were written, I think, with two messages in mind. The story from 2 Kings, which was very well read, was to proclaim that the God of Israel was the only and true God. The message from Luke's gospel today is to underline God's inclusion of the people beyond the temple. The inclusion of the foreigner, the stranger, the outsider. In my attempt to keep it simple, I still can't settle for such obvious interpretations intended by the ancient authors. These are two super stories, and of course each of us can find meaning as we understand them. I see these as stories of God's power, story of God's power to heal, and the power which that faith can give us. The story of Naaman, a commander in the army of the king of Aram, a mighty warrior, suffers from leprosy. A young girl, a foreigner, captured from Israel, says to Naaman's wife, "If your husband could see the prophet in Israel, he could be healed." And so it goes. And the king of Israel gets all bent out of shape by that request. But Elijah, the man of God, says, "Let him come to me, and I'll show him that God is in Israel." And then Elisha tells Naaman to go wash in the river Jordan. Wash 7 times and he will be healed. Simple. But too simple for Naaman. But thankfully, Naaman's servants say, if the prophet had commanded you to do something difficult, wouldn't you have done it? And so Naaman washes in the Jordan, and his leprosy is healed. Now this is where the subtitle, God and Google, come in. The River Jordan, a crucial source of life for thousands of years, and a symbol of freedom from slavery to the Hebrew people. A verse from the song, Old Man River, underlines its significance. Let me go away from the Mississippi, let me go away from the white man boss. Show me that stream called the River Jordan. That's the old stream that I long to cross. The river of freedom, healing, and often not in the ways we expect. On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus, 10 lepers. Leprosy, such a painful and isolating disease. And I encourage you to do your own God and Google search on leprosy. The 10 lepers ask Jesus to have mercy on them. Jesus sends them to go and show themselves to the priests. And on the way, they are healed. Kind of like when you make a doctor's appointment, you feel better even before you get there. On the way, they are healed. Pretty simple. And yet only one returns to give thanks to God, the disrespected Samaritan. whom Jesus then praises for his faith. Now, faith is both simple and not so simple. Madeleine L'Engle, the author, writes, "Faith is that which lies on the other side of reason." Faith is for that which lies on the other side of reason. Faith is what makes life bearable, with all its tragedies and ambiguities and sudden and startling joys. Surely it wasn't reasonable of the Lord of the universe to come and walk this earth with us and love us enough to die, and then show us everlasting life. We will all grow old, and sooner or later we will die like the old trees in the orchard. But we have been promised that this is not the end. We have been promised life. Faith. Your faith has made you well. Without intending to be self-righteous or prideful, I find in this both beautiful and messed up world that faith gives us an advantage. You can't make someone believe, and you can't make yourself believe in the ultimate goodness of the holy. But I believe we can choose to believe. We can choose to be faithful. We can choose to believe. I mean, why not? Simple, or maybe not so simple sometimes. Time for a story. Now, I will say that this story failed the FAT test, which is the family approval test. But I'm going to do it anyway, so here we are. To commemorate his first visit to our library, the librarian said, "I gave a 6-year-old a bookmark. More familiar with electronic gadgets than old school tools, he had no clue how it worked. So I demonstrated by placing it between 2 pages, then closing the book. And she said, when you start reading again, voila, I said, opening the book. Wow, he said, that's cool. Anyway, I'll tell my family that you agreed with them, but it is simple. It may not be cool, but it's simple. It's cool. So this week, keep it simple. Choose to believe. Amen.
Amen. Amen.